Hello viewers, new and old. I'm Rodders, this is On the Bridle, and in today's episode, we're going to take a slightly different approach to it. This is going to be my love letter to the Nicky Henderson trained gelding, Jonbon. So let's get into it. Born on the 21st of March 2015, Jonbon is a bay gelding by walk in the park out of the French mare Star Face, a full brother to Douvan, the brilliant but fragile comet that flashed across the skies before fate intervened. Bought for £570,000 by JP McManus after winning his Irish point-to-point at Drummerhane impressively, he was sent to Nicky Henderson and debuted here on the 27th of March 2021 at Newbury.
For Flying Demon, top of the bill is going to be Home in third position, and then Come On Gruff in fourth.
Jonbon returned to Newbury on the 26th of November 2021. He was sweating profusely at the start, and he had every right to be. Under a mountain of pressure, folks scoffed at his £570,000 price tag. He was just a wannabe to his brother, surely. He was just a fake imitation that once lost would be cast aside into the history books. However, these opinions were thrust into the void of disappointment, as Jonbon, flowing in his stride, simply toyed with his rivals.
Jonbon at the last. Jumped well the whole way round, settled this little way from home, this fella. A long look over the shoulders for Aidan Coleman. So into the closing stages, the final furlong. It's an extending good lead for Jonbon, who runs up towards the line to make a winning debut over hurdles. He'll be pursued home by Good Risk at All in second place, who's going to hold that position, to Boom Boom in third place, and Charlie's Glance behind those in fourth.
December the 17th, 2021, Jonbon arrived at a mud-splattered Ascot. Could he really prove that he was not just potential? Could he really prove that he was the growing power in this division? He answered those questions by putting in a performance that echoed back into the family history, casting aside those who still doubted him as a Douvan wannabe.
Nappers Hill is down on his nose now. Jonbon is asked to go and seal the race. Moves 2 to 3 lengths clear in stylish fashion from Nappers Hill. Then Colonel Mustard, L.A. Bell, and I Like to Move It. This is the last for Jonbon, and he is over clear from in second Colonel Mustard, then Nappers Hill and L.A. Bell, and Jonbon taking a major step forward here. The price tag almost looks justified the way he saunters to victory in the Kennel Gate. Jonbon remains unbeaten.
January the 22nd, 2022, Jonbon reappeared at a drizzle-ridden haydock, his trial for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. This did not go to plan, but in the end, champions come through no matter what.
Jonbon has gone to the front, but he's leaning left. He went into the path of Mai Tai, who was forced to check. Jonbon is now opening up. Mai Tai trying to regather the momentum, but he's surely fighting it out for a place with Richmond Lake, who's staying on. And with 100 yards to cover, Jonbon is drawing clear, and he gives weight and beating to his rivals and takes another step on the road to Cheltenham.
The 14th of March, 2022, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, a race where legends are made in the eyes of the onlooking crowd and dreams are broken for those who falter. Going hammer and tongs with a Willie Mullins-trained Dysart Dynamo, he left himself vulnerable to the attack of the colossus that is Constitution Hill, his stablemate pulling away from him on the crown of the bend and bidding him a pleasant Tuesday afternoon. And although Jonbon stuck in there for the fight, this was a bitter blow to his unbeaten record. This will not stand.
Sweeps majestically into the lead, rounding the final corner. He opens up by 4, 5, 6 lengths. Jonbon is chasing his stablemate, but he's surely chasing in vain. Constitution Hill down towards the last in the Supreme. And he's over safely, and he's over clear, and it's a yawning gap back to Jonbon and Kilcrut. It's first strike to Henderson, it's first strike to England, in the colours of Michael Buckley. Constitution Hill, a class apart, wins the Supreme. Jonbon, his stablemate, makes it a Henderson 1-2, Kilcrut is third. Bring on the Night is back in.
So on to the 8th of April 2022, the top novices hurdle at Aintree, determined to regain some honour in battle. Jonbon hit the front 2 out, but unbeknownst to him, in behind, Al Fabiolo, a new racehorse and a future rival for Jonbon. Battle lines were drawn, and what ensued was one of the best finishes of the entire festival.
Quickens up, but chased down by El Fabiolo on towards the final flight. Jonbon's got company. Here's El Fabiolo on the attack. They both jump it fairly well, and now the run for home. El Fabiolo on the near side, Paul Townend. Jonbon on the far side, Aidan Coleman. Then neck and neck, stride for stride, racing up towards the line. Jonbon far side of El Fabiolo. Jonbon's finding just enough, and Jonbon wins from El Fabiolo.
Jonbon reappeared at Warwick
He's
on
back
the
in
16th
third,
of
and
November
Jonbon
2022
has gone
for his
6 or
chasing
7
debut.
lengths clear.
But could he
from
really adapt
Monmoral,
from
make that
hurdles
8 or
to
10
The
as
old
they
nervous
close in
energy
on the
still
second
lingered
last.
in the
West
paddock.
Cork is closing
Tail
on
flicking,
Monmoral
sweating,
as
the immense
Jonbon comes
content.
to jump 2 out,
The tape
foot
lifted,
perfect.
he jumped the first fence boldly and mid-race adjusted his stride, approaching a wider obstacle. At the final fence, he launched with precision, carrying speed to the line. Problem solved, and solved in a manner of a horse who no longer had to emulate anyone.
To put himself spot on, but they're coming home with about 10 or a dozen lengths between them, with Jonbon coasting home to provide Aidan Coleman with a double on the day, his 15th winner of the season. Jonbon impresses on his steeplechasing debut.
3rd of December 2022, the Henry
about
VIII
7 lengths behind the
chase
second
at
horse.
Sandown.
Narrowly in
The ground
third
was
is
heavy, and
Unexpected
his old
Party. Honor
adversary,
Dajonk is
Boot
still
Hill,
with
was waiting
him.
in the wings
3
for
plain
mistake.
fences to go from
But
here.
Jonbon,
Jonbon yet to
seemingly
see
all
any
class
of his
over
3
fences
rivals.
now,
Continues
took
out
this
in a
grade
clear
1
advantage,
completely in
and
his
once
stride.
again ears pricked
And
as he
round in the
comes to
home
3
turn,
from the
there was never any other result.
second place now, trying to get closer. They come round the home turn. They're 10 lengths clear from Unexpected Party. 2 plain fences from here. Jonbon out in front. Boot Hill on the left is trying to mount a challenge as they move down towards the final fence now. Jonbon shaken up in front as they move towards the final obstacle. He's still 2 or 3 lengths ahead to Boot Hill. Jonbon at the last. Oh, what a leap! Landed 5-6 lengths ahead. Boot Hill took it in second place. Unexpected Party in third. Jonbon, not really challenged, comes home, and it's a wide margin victory for him with Aidan Coleman. Second to Boot Hill. Third place will go to Unexpected Party. Honor Dajonk.
Returning to Warwick for the Kingmaker Chase on the 11th of February 2023, Jonbon faced an adversary in the form of Calico, who was determined to make him look silly. Under the forceful tactics of Harry Skelton, Calico went rubber to the road and tried to outdo Jonbon for 2/3 of the race, getting Jonbon out of his comfort zone. But around in the final bend, it was all too evident that Calico had shot his bolt. Who could have ever thought, in the midst of a jump season, that a 2-runner race could have been this exciting?
So they're making the turn in. Jonbon now comes through once again to take the lead. Calico tries to hang tough to his inside. Race on as they come into the home straight. Down towards the second from home. It is Jonbon on the left. On the right is Calico. And they rise at the second from home. Jonbon by only a length and a half. Calico gamely trying to rally against the inside rail. Coming down towards the 12th and final fence in the Kingmaker. Jonbon is at it. He leads by 2 to Calico in second. Now a furlong on the flat, and Aidan Coleman and Jonbon now begin to assert. They're going clear by 3 lengths. He's had a real scare today, but in the end, he shows his class to win, and he's now 3 out of 3 over fences. Jonbon takes the Kingmaker. Calico second.
Back to the Cheltenham Festival on March the 14th, 2023. Jonbon had a score to settle. The bruising memory of his defeat the year before to his stablemate Constitution Hill still fresh in the memory, but the brewing discontent in El Fabiolo for the Aintree defeat the year before marked Jonbon out for a prime target in this race.
Home with just 2 left to jump in the Sporting Life Arkle. Dysart Dynamo chased by Jonbon, who's now being asked for more, being asked to close. El Fabiolo stalks them into the straight. Saudoir is back in 4th as they turn their heads for home. Dysart Dynamo. Here's Jonbon on the left, El Fabiolo on the right. 3 in a line. Mistake from Dysart Dynamo, and El Fabiolo emerges in front from Jonbon. Here's the last. El Fabiolo long there. There wasn't much margin for error. Dysart Dynamo crashes out, and it's El Fabiolo. Jonbon is chasing. Sandown back in 3rd. El Fabiolo staying on powerfully. Jonbon isn't getting any closer, and in the match-up between the 2, it's El Fabiolo who wins the Arkle. Jonbon is 2nd, Sandown 3rd.
Before lining up for the Magul Novices Chase on the 15th of April 2023 at Aintree, there must have been trepidation in Jonbon's mind. After all, Calico had tried to make him look a fool at Warwick and very nearly got away with it On this occasion, though, there was no doubt. Jonbon jumped off in front and never seen another rival. It was clear that at this stage in his career, he could be pure class going forwards.
Range from Aidan Coleman. Calico, though, is also under pressure, looking to close the gap, drawing right away from Marble de Cerisi and Fusani, who has cleared that second last, racing down to the final fence. And it's Jonbon beginning to assert now. Calico is about 8 lengths behind in second at the final fence, and Jonbon is over safely. Calico is down. Calico has fallen when in second place. Marble de Cerisi has now inherited that, but Jonbon left clear by that final fence fall. And goes on to win and records his 4th win over fences. He takes the...
And on to Jonbon's first foray into Grade 1 Open Company. It came in the form of the Celebration Chase at Sandown on April the 29th, 2023. The expectation for Jonbon was high. He was sent off the 8-13 on favourite, and Aidan Coleman gave him a perfect ride. Stalking in behind, waiting for the leaders to get tired, coming on the outside, and cruising up, approaching the third last. This victory wasn't only just a win, it was a statement of intent from Jonbon. I'm going to be the best, and you have to come and try and stop me.
Right-hand turn, Captain Guinness. Here comes Jonbon as they race towards the second last. Captain Guinness from Jonbon over 2 out, nearly in the air together there. Captain Guinness on the far side, Jonbon on the near side. Jonbon keeps finding. They head on towards the final fence. Jonbon now wearing down Captain Guinness. Here it is, the last. Jonbon over, just in front from Captain Guinness in second. Now they're going to climb the hill. It's Jonbon by a length and a half, by 2 lengths, by 3 lengths. Jonbon, what a good horse this is. A couple of early errors. He casts them aside and he wins the Celebration Chase. The novice
Jonbon was next seen on the 19th of November 2023 in the Slur Chase at Cheltenham, pushing away an old hand like Edwardstone and cementing his place in this division. National Hunt fans rejoiced in the fact that they might have a new champion, but the questions were aplenty. Will he be good enough this year?
10 lengths behind, 1 fence to jump them. Jonbon in the Slur Chase clears the last and goes on up the hill now to Edwardstone in second position, Nube Negra, Editor du Sheet in third and fourth places. Inside the final half furlong, ridden out towards the line. Jonbon it is in front, but he's going to win the Slur Chase. Edwardstone will be home in second place. Previous dual winner Nube Negra this year is in third, and then Editor du Sheet in fourth.
The form sleuths were out in force on the 9th of December 2023 as Jonbon made his eagerly awaited Tingle Creek debut. This was supposed to be nothing more than a formality for Jonbon, but it proved anything but. Edwardstone, proving that there is one last fight in the dog, tried his best to peg Jonbon back. This race raised more questions than answers, and after the race, everyone was thinking, have we just overestimated Jonbon's ability? Is he just masquerading as a good horse?
They turn their heads towards home. It's Hadex de Zobo. Jonbon looming up to the outside. Hadex de Zobo still just about had the lead, but Jonbon is now on terms. Edwardstone trying to get organised now, racing on down towards the 13th and last, and Jonbon has now come through to lead from Hadex de Zobo and Edwardstone at the final fence. Jonbon's over in front. He landed a length and a half. Edwardstone will try and rally up the run-in. Hadex de Zobo back in third. Is Jonbon ridden out by Nico de Bonneville? He's got a couple of lengths in hand on Edwardstone, and the Betfair Tingle Creek Chase goes to Jonbon. Jonbon beats Edwardstone. Hadex de Zobo.
Jonbon reappeared in a Clarence House Chase that was rerouted from Ascot to Cheltenham, and in National Hunt racing there was no such thing as a certainty. Approaching this fence he made a howling blunder, and this put him all but out of the race. But like any great Rocky movie, he came back off of the canvas when it looked impossible. And with sheer determination, he worked himself back into the race.
Down the hill towards 3 out. Elixir de Nuts. Nube Negra is now up into second place. Jonbon, despite that mistake, is still certainly in touch in third. Elixir de Nuts was very low at that fence. He got away with it though. He remains out in front. Nube Negra shaken up. Jonbon given time to recover. Still sits quite pretty in third despite that big error at 4 out. Editor du Sheet, last year's winner, appears to have been seen off. Fugitive is now looking to run on. They turn their heads towards home.
moment that my pension expert, Clarence House Chase, Elixir Nuts leading. Jonbon is moving up into second place now. Then Nube Negra approaching two from the end. Fugitive are running on fourth, and Editor Eugene at two from the end. Jonbon has now come through to just about join issue with Elixir Nuts. They're getting away from Nube Negra and they're running on Fugitive. Jonbon's going to be in front on the run down towards the final fence. He looks at it, he pops over a little slowly. Elixir Nuts given a big chance over on the far side, and the Grey's now in front. Jonbon is going to have to dig very, very deep indeed. Elixir Nuts with Jonbon trying to rally up the hill. Elixir Nuts trying to see it out from Jonbon. It's Elixir Nuts by a half a length. Elixir Nuts will win the Clarence House, defeating Jonbon. Fugitive in third.
Jonbon next made his reappearance at Aintree on the 12th of April 2024 in the Melling Chase. This was an experiment by Nicky Henderson to find out if he would stay 2.5 miles. Up to now, Nicky Henderson had only thought that Jonbon was a pure 2-miler. So this was a pleasant surprise when Jonbon decided he was going to take down a former Irish Gold Cup winner, no holds barred.
Red over in third, a gap to Envoi Alain, who's trying to fight back. Pictori well beaten, so too Manella Drama, but Conflated has led all the way, and now push comes to shove on Jonbon in second. Protectorate is running on Durley, and then Envoi Alain, and Jonbon is getting closer to Conflated, but so too is Protectorate, charging down the outside. The final fence, Jonbon picks up just ahead of Conflated, who's trying to fight back on the run for home. Jonbon into unknown territory. He's staying it out well from Conflated and Protectorate, and up towards the line. Jonbon wins again at Aintree from Conflated in second, Protectorate in third.
27th of April, the celebration chase at Sandown. Alfa Biolo was rated to rub Jonbon's nose in it once more, but Jonbon kept his revenge in the freezer and served it to Alfa Biolo ice cold.
It's Jonbon pulling away from Edwardstone and El Fabiolo and Boot Hill, and it's time for another celebration. Jonbon maintaining his unbeaten record at Sandown and wins the bet 365.
The 24th of November 2024, another Schlur chase, another familiar story, taking on again Edwardstone and Boot Hill. They tried as they might to falter him, but he wasn't for stopping.
On the landing side, Edwardstone and Boot Hill are trying very hard in behind. Jonbon by a length or so. Boot Hill and Edwardstone are snapping away. It's Jonbon though. It's Jonbon Schlur chase. He's won it again. Jonbon from Boot Hill.
Not since the mighty Corto Star has there been a horse ever to go back-to-back in Tingle Creek chases. But Jonbon was thoroughly up to the task. Sent off the 8-13 favourite, this was nothing more than a formality for Jonbon.
Is the back marker of the 4, and Nico now sends Jonbon on, and he goes on by 2 lengths to the roar of the crowd. It's Jonbon opening up to Quilixios in second. 2 out, Jonbon. He's okay. 3 lengths clear to Quilixios, and then JPR1. They head down to the 13th and final fence in the Tingle Creek, and Jonbon is clear by 4 lengths to Quilixios in second place. Here's the last for Jonbon. He jumps it well. Quilixios in second, JPR1 back in third. It's Jonbon. He's got his favourite hill to climb. He's out in front by 5 lengths to Quilixios, and Jonbon is going to win this race again. A 4th success of the race for Nicky Henderson, and a 3rd for Nico de Boinville. Jonbon wins the Betfair Tingle Creek in great style.
The 18th of January 2025, this was billed as a match race between Energumene, a dual champion chase winner, and Jonbon himself, a multiple Grade 1 winner. And although Energumene gave it a good go, as you would expect of any dual champion chase winner, the result was never really in doubt.
Now Jonbon, a mighty jump there. He landed running 5 in front from Energumene. Edwardstone in third, and on the run towards the line, it's Jonbon. He's too good for Energumene, and Jonbon's going to win his 9th Grade 1 race. He wins the MGM Clarence House chase. Jonbon the winner. Energumene home in second. Edwardstone back.
The 15th of March 2025, it was expected that Jonbon would turn up and finally claim his champion chase prize. But all the best plans go begging, and seemingly this one did too, making a horrible mistake at this fence. He never seemed to really recover, and the reaction on Nicky Henderson's face as this accident happened seemed to tell a tale of woe.
The open ditch, 4 out, Energumene from Quilixios, Marine Nationale, Founder 50 and Solness out wide, relegated to 5th, and then Captain Guinness to the nose-banded Liberty Hunter, and after that bad blunder, Jonbon is last of all, and just being given time by Nico to try and regain his composure as they come freewheeling on down the hill to make the long run towards the third last. So Jonbon last and detached as Energumene, the Royal Blue, has a narrow lead on the descent. Solness out wide going back up through the field. Then Quilixios, the red, white and blue to Founder 50. Marine Nationale in a yellow jacket has come there tanking along. Captain Guinness is right down on the inside. Liberty Hunter in the noseband is in touch. 3 out. Quilixios perhaps into a narrow lead, and Liberty Hunter is a faller, falling into the path of Jonbon, who remains last of all, and they're about to swing for home. 2 fences left to jump in the Bet MGM Queen Mother Champion Chase. Marine Nationale has come there very powerfully. Energumene has stopped swiftly, has backed right out of it. Quilixios is fighting on. Founder 50 back in third, and then Captain Guinness. But it's Marine Nationale on the inside of Quilixios. They turn to face the second last. Inseparable. Marine Nationale jumping into a narrow lead. Quilixios is fighting on under pressure. They're clear of Captain Guinness, who's moved into third. The final fence. Marine Nationale, and Quilixios has tumbled out. Marine Nationale is left clear. Captain Guinness is back in third. Jonbon is plugging on, but it's Marine Nationale with a commanding advantage, running on powerfully. This could have been written in the heavens. Marine Nationale for an emotional win in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Jonbon ran on to be second. Captain Guinness in third.
With the sorrow of Cheltenham almost forgotten, Jonbon returned to his beloved Aintree, where he's unbeaten on the 4th of April 2025. Protectorate gave the faintest of challenges, but in truth, the ball was always in Jonbon's court.
Jonbon and Nico de Boinville into the top of the home straight. A good 4 lengths ahead of Protectorate in second under Harry Skelton. 3 from the end. Jonbon, he's over safely. Protectorate in second, now shaken up. Matata last of the 3. Here comes the open ditch. This is 2 out. It's Jonbon. He comes down towards the final ditch. He steadies and he pops over in front and now begins to saunter clear. He's in front by a good 6 lengths over Protectorate, who's hard at work to try and keep up with Jonbon. Racing on down towards the 16th and final obstacle. Jonbon now pushed clear. He's in front by a good 6 lengths over Protectorate, who's trying to come back at him. At the final fence now, here's Jonbon, and he's over in front. A good 4 or 5 lengths clear from Protectorate. Matata still coming to the last, but it's Jonbon who's clear by 4 lengths. He's tying up a bit. Protectorate getting closer, but it's going to be 10 grade ones for Jonbon. He wins at the meetie again, and back-to-back wins in the Melling Chase.
26th of April, the celebration chase at Sandown. This is supposed to be the last vestige of the jump season, and Jonbon was supposed to be in bloom. Unfortunately, younger legs found him out, and a tiring season might just have been a factor of contributing to it.
Stars could be a big threat as they run round the turn. 2 fences to jump. Jonbon chased by the 2 Willie Mullins trained raiders on the far side. Energumene. Ilete Tom now challenging Jonbon. Oh, Ilete Tom is cruising and he canters past Jonbon. Going to the final fence. Ilete Tom off the course for a year and a brilliant leap at the last. Ilete Tom pulling clear of Jonbon, racing up the hill. Ilete Tom and Danny Mullins back from a year off. A great piece of training by Willie Mullins, a very good horse, and he wins the celebration. Jonbon second, in third Energumene, and Edward Stone in fourth.
Jonbon will forever be in my heart because he epitomises what it is to be a national hunt racehorse. He's a gritty trier who never gives up and has a never say die attitude. And although he might never have a perfect record by the end of his career, when the curtain closes, I can rest assure you that he will be remembered as a horse who put it all in every race. And for that, Jonbon, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for every time you've tried. I thank you for every time you've succeeded. You truly are a credit to your bloodline and your lineage, and you will go down, in my book, as a national hunt racing legend. And like his namesake, a rock star.